So, let's talk about the Recollection Festival. If you're someone who doesn't play on the Japanese server and don't follow the Japanese Project Sekai news religiously like I do, you might have missed that like a week ago, Sega introduced a brand new type of gacha called the Recollection Festival. The gacha was announced during the 11th Sekai broadcast station on August 23rd and is a new type of celebratory gacha. The gacha itself ran from August 28th to September 1st, making it a 4-day cycle, just like the length of colorful festivals and bloom festivals. So let's instantly and directly address the elephant-sized problem in this room. Sega/Colorful Palette did what I can only call a nasty rug pull on the Japanese player base. With the release of this gacha, Sega announced that standalone limited gachas will only get 3 runs. They get their initial event and then 2 reruns. After that, the standalone gachas for limited events get discontinued, their cards instead joining the Recollection Festival special gacha pool. And with this, they announced that 15 gachas was already discontinued with the release of this Recollection Festival on August 28th. The 15 gachas that were discontinued is Fluffy Dreamland, One With My Crew, Romantic Bride Gacha, Let's Enjoy Summer, Moonlit Night's Sister Rabbits, Scramble Flower, Wanderer's Journey, Growing Feelings, Words on the Snow, A Maiden's Hope for the New Year's, Secret Tea Time, Nights of White, Yearning for Spring, A Moment in the Night, The Naive Voice That Cries Out to You, Graceful Marriage, and the Sporty Girl Gacha. This means that the upcoming reruns on the EN server for these gachas will be the final time they rerun. In order of cancellation, in November, One With My Crew and Yearning for Spring, A Moment in the Night will have their final reruns. In December, we will see Scramble Flower and Romantic Bride. In January, we will see Fluffy Dreamland and A Maiden's Hope for a New Year's. In February, we will see Nights of White and Graceful Marriage. In March, we will see Secret Tea Time and Wanderer's Journey. In April, we will see Let's Enjoy Summer and The Naive Voice That Cries Out to You. In May, we will see Rabbit Sister and Sporty Girl Gacha. And in July, we will see Growing Feelings, Words in the Snow. So these are the final dates before these standalone gachas get removed entirely and the cards become part of the Recollection Festival gacha pool. We, on the EN server, have the perk of preparation, unlike JP who really just had the rug pulled from under them, as there was no prior announcement or communication about their intentions to discontinue these gachas. Not when the gachas had their final reruns or leading up to this gacha's release. Even then, it's rather tight for us on EN2, with only roughly 2 months away until our first duo of gachas are getting axed. These gachas of course being One With My Crew, one of our first ever limited events, and Yearning for Spring in the Night, the 1.5 anniversary gacha, which I know for a fact is highly coveted because of the Nightcore 25 Miku in it. It's also worth mentioning that several more gachas have already had their final run on the Japanese server, but they did not join this Recollection Festival. These gachas include Both Before the Storm and Twilight Festa has their final reruns in June, and Cybersnipe is the gacha that's joining Growing Feelings, Words in the Snow in July. Finally, Spooky Wolf Forest and Lion Dance had their final reruns in August just before the Recollection Festival gacha went live. Hello, Milk from the editing desk here. Because this video took more than a week to finish, they actually announced the September reruns as well. Joining the roster is Sweet Cute Valentine and Imperial Soldiers having their final reruns in September of 2025 on the EN server. This means that these gachas have had their final reruns on JP, but they have yet to be officially discontinued as they were not introduced into the Festival of Recollection yet. Which brings in the second major problem with the Recollection Festival. The announcement, while very good and clear of how the gacha would work, was extremely nondescript about the future of this gacha. They seem to indicate that this is a rather rarely occurring special event kind of deal, akin to the Colorful Festivals and Bloom Festival gachas. But even then, no rerun date or general time frame to expect between each Recollection Festival was announced. So we can add this to the tally of poor communication from Sega's part about the game in general. They are not a very transparent company at many times, which makes me kind of frustrated. But now you might be thinking, but Milk, how does the gacha work? If the gacha is fair, it might not be such a big deal that the standalone limited gachas get discontinued. And while I love the optimism, I do wanna remind you what gacha game we're actually playing and how our rates normally look. This gacha is not great. With the gacha having come and gone on the Japanese server as I'm scripting this and recording it, we do now know fully how this gacha works as we've already summoned from it. So the gacha works as follows. The gacha itself has the Colorful Festival rates for a 4-star being 6% instead of the standard 3%. Exclusive for this gacha and what makes it truly special is the unique pity system. This is one of our first times that a limited gacha of any variety has a pity system attached to it in Project Sekai. As is standard, this pity system does not carry over when a new Recollection Festival arrives. Instead, you are reset back to 0 and any points you had toward a reward you did not reach will be lost. The pity bar is split into 2, having 200 points as the max pity. Within these 200 points of pity, there are 4 tiers of major reward with wish piece rewards in between the major rewards. These minor wish piece rewards is 50 wish pieces for every 10 points you gather. The major rewards comes at 50 points, 100 points, 150 points and 200 points for the final reward. At 50 points, you get a guaranteed random 4-star that you do not own of the permanent variety only. At 100 points, you get another guaranteed random 4-star, but this has the potential to be any kind of 4-star. This includes the Colorful Festival and the limited gacha cards, but it's not guaranteed that you get any of them as it is random, but it is guaranteed that the card you get is one that you do not own. At 150 points, you get a guaranteed permanent 4-star of your choice, with all cards up until the never-ending Showtime gacha available. Finally, at 200 points, you are guaranteed a 4-star of your choosing from all available options, including the limited cards and the Colorful Festival cards. Once you reach 200, the pity bar will loop back to 0, allowing you to complete it again if you so wish and have the funds ready. The card pool for this gacha includes all permanent cards up until the never-ending Showtime event, all Colorful Festival cards until the June 2022 Colorful Festival, which is Shiho and Honami. And finally, all limited cards until the event Spoy Joy Park / the Sporty Girl Gacha. This leaves us with the act of actually gaining points, and you can gain points in 2 different ways for this gacha, either with paid crystals or with free crystals. These 2 ways of getting points are not mutually exclusive, so you can do a few pulls with paid crystals and then move over to free crystals if you so see fit. For each pull you do with paid crystals, you get 1 point, resulting in 10 points per 10 pull. For each pull you do with free crystals, you get 0.5 points, resulting in 5 points per 10 pull. And I don't really think I need to point out why this is a problem, but I will anyways, because I just love nagging, it seems. For those quick at math, or those just jaded enough to instantly get what this means you need either 120,000 free crystals to complete the track and get one limited card of your choosing, or a staggering 60,000 paid crystals. I did some quick math, and 60,000 paid crystals will cost you, if you buy straight crystal bundles from the shop, $474, give and take. As for the free crystal option, a late game player that is free to play earns roughly 10,520 crystals a month. Meaning it takes around 11 months to earn enough free crystals to finish the pity track once for a single guaranteed limited 4-star, which is insane. Of course, you can argue that since the limited cards are available in the gacha pool, also including the Colorful Festival exclusive cards, you might get them while pulling, especially seeing as the Colorful Festival rate of 6% for a 4-star is available. And yes, this is true, you might get several 4-star limited cards across your 200 to 400 pools in this gacha. But I do wanna point out that all cards have the standard rate. There are no rate up cards whatsoever in this gacha, meaning that all cards have the same likelihood of being pulled. In the pool, there are 230 permanent cards from 75 different marathon events. There are 12 Colorful Festival exclusive cards and 45 cards from limited gachas. But 7 out of these 45 limited gacha cards are actually considered permanent, as they were released without a costume. So this means that there are 38 limited cards and 237 permanent cards altogether in the gacha pool. Altogether, there are 287 cards in the gacha pool for a card rate of 0.021% per individual card. As for the chances of a limited card, we need to do some math. If we take both limited types into consideration and don't care if we get a Colorful Festival or a limited card, we get a grand total of 50 limited cards in the pool. Dividing this with the total amount of cards in the pool, a la 50 divided by 287, we get the rough chance of a limited card being 17.4%. So rounding down, we get a 17% chance for a limited card of any variety from this gacha. If we instead only wanna look at the limited cards from the limited gachas, we have to divide 38 by 287, which gives us 13.2% chance for a limited card. So once again, we have to round down, giving us a 13% chance for a limited card from a Cheerful Carnival gacha. And if you instead want one of the Colorful Festival cards but don't really care which one, we have to take 12 divided by 287. This gives us a 4.1% chance for a Colorful Festival exclusive card. So once again, we round down and get a 4% chance for a Colorful Festival card. But this of course assumes that you have no cards of either limited types already, as the gacha have zero protection against getting duplicates of any kind. This is standard in all gachas in Project Sekai. You are just as likely to get a duplicate as you are to get any other card. And the limited dupes and Colorful Festival exclusive duplicates are worth exactly as much as a standard 4-star dupe is. So even if you hit that 17% chance of getting a limited card, depending on how many cards you have, there is a high likelihood that you might get a dupe that you already own, which just stings to imagine. But of course, it's always a gamble when you pull from a gacha. It's a gacha game after all. RNG is part of the process. You could get lucky and snag many of the fan favorites while pulling for the gacha even before you get to that 200 pity and your free choice 4-star. But it's worth pointing out that it's not only not guaranteed, it's also not very likely. And while we are gacha fans and therefore delusional by default, let's not delude ourselves here and believe we will get what we want while pulling from this gacha. As a gacha fan, it is good to actually expect the minimum, and in this case, getting a limited card or a colorful festival exclusive card you want is like looking for a needle in a haystack. You are rolling on very low, very narrow odds of getting the cards you want in this gacha if you don't have a massive backlog of cards you actually want, and even then the limited cards and colorful festival cards are at such a disadvantage in amounts towards the permanent cards. And I will also point out that I think the wording of this gacha, while maybe not quite predatory, is definitely employing some rather foul tactics. It's definitely intentional, making it 1 point for paid crystals and 0.5 points for free crystals, instead of, say, making it 1 point for free crystals and 2 points for paid crystals. As psychologically, you will feel like you're gaining a lot less and missing out on a lot more by using free crystals instead of paid crystals in this case. Your mind, even if you know deep in your heart that 1 and 2 points would be the same thing if they raised the pity bar to 400, would still feel better about using free crystals in this case. The 0.5 points are intentionally there to make you feel like you are gaining less, that you are using the incorrect type of crystal, because the paid crystals are posed as the standard for this gacha, which pulls you towards making a purchase for the gacha's sake, and it was a deliberate choice to pose the gacha in this way. This pulls you towards making a purchase for the gacha's sake, and it was a deliberate and intentional choice to pose the gacha in the way it was. This was not an accident, as this is a common tactic used in several businesses to sell more, and gacha games are no exception. This makes the gacha feel almost gross and manipulative in its posing, especially in combination with the sudden announcement of the gacha itself, only giving JP less than a week to prepare for the gacha's arrival. The instant discontinuation of the limited gachas, which was once again not communicated or pre-announced on the Japanese server when the gacha released, not when the gacha was announced. With the short duration of the gacha and finally the lack of an announcement surrounding the future of this gacha type, when it will be back and how often it will be available, really just creates an immense amount of pressure and stress on the players. This is usually called FOMO, or fear of missing out, which psychologically strong-arms you into making rash financial decisions and spending more money than you really want to, as you feel like there's no time to wait for these things that will be gone once the gacha disappears. And this is strengthened even more by many of the limited gachas that got discontinued being so coveted by fans. The harsh wording of discontinued with the uncertain future of such desired cards coming back and how often they will be available, heightening the stress and feeling of FOMO. The thing is, I don't want to complain about Sega or Colorful Palette. I have an immense amount of respect for both of them and their work on Project Sekai. I wouldn't be making content and financially supporting the EN server as much as I do if I didn't love the game and respect the work of its creators. But as a fellow player first with a small voice, I have to use my platform to make sure other players, you guys especially, understand what this gacha entails. Because I think you guys deserve not only to be ready in advance for this gacha, but also be aware how it works and what it means. I genuinely feel bad for the rug pull the Japanese players experienced. I am not telling you not to pull from this gacha, I'm still considering it myself. If you think it's a cool gacha and want a card from it, go for it. I just want everyone to understand exactly what this gacha entails before it arrives, so you are not only ready, but aware of the stipulations, to make the experience enjoyable for everyone. But with that, I hope I could deepen your understanding of the Recollection Festival Gacha before it arrives. If this video was in any way help, consider leaving a like and subscribing. It really does help me personally. While you're down there, tell me your opinions on the Recollection Festival. What do you think of the whole ordeal? But with that, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I will not keep you here any longer. Let's get out of here for now.